In 3, 2, 1, and you are live.
Dear voters, fellow Zimbabweans, in response to a call from in and outside Zimbabwe, we the people have asked Honorable Saviour Kasukuwere to run for the office of President of the Republic of Zimbabwe in the harmonized elections of the 23rd of August 2023 as an independent candidate. I submit this for and on behalf of independent voters and conveners. God bless Zimbabwe, and thank you for your much anticipated support.
Fellow Zimbabweans, it is now when, if not us, who? My vision is for a new Zimbabwe. I dream of a functional country, at peace with itself, where social contract bridges the trust deficit between the government and the citizens. I dream of a Zimbabwe where our national natural resources are fully utilized to benefit everyone, where hospitals and clinics are well equipped in their medicines, a country where pensioners enjoy their retirement in peace and security, and our youths are gainfully occupied so that they live to their full potential in this lifetime. The purpose of my presidential campaign is to reimagine, rethink, and renew Zimbabwe to being a prosperous country which belongs to all citizens. Zimbabwe was not liberated for individuals, families, their relatives, and their friends. It was liberated for all Zimbabweans. Zimbabwe belongs to us all. Zimbabwe ndedu tose. Zimbabwe ngeo to sonke. Our country needs a capable, accountable, transparent, and responsible leadership that implements the vision of the Zimbabwe we want. I will share with you the agenda that we will be placing before the people of Zimbabwe. First and foremostly, in our 5 cardinal pillars, it is time to renew the country's leadership, enshrine a new national vision with aspirations to restore Zimbabwe's glory. We need to implement and uphold the Constitution and respect the rights of all citizens. Secondly, we need to reconcile our people. It is time to reconcile and put our past differences aside and embrace one another while acknowledging our failures and repairing the damage that our acts of omission and commission have caused. The go-ground question requires a permanent resolution and a peaceful closure, as with other past conflicts in our history. Reform. It is time to reform our national institutions so that they can deliver for the benefit of the majority in a transparent. Revive. It is also time we revive Zimbabwe and transform its economy to benefit all citizens. Zimbabweans should be at the heart of the leveraging regional resources for sustainable, inclusive economic growth and development. And lastly, rebuild. It is time to rebuild, rehabilitate and develop our infrastructure, and improve the quality of life for all. Fellow countrymen, the promise we make is that this is our opportunity to transform our country through reconciliation, through economic empowerment. Together, all Zimbabweans can strive towards a future characterized by stability, prosperity, and a better quality of life for all its citizens. Our core values and principles. We are guided by the core principle that all humans are created in the image of God and have the inalienable right to pursue their purpose on earth unhindered. The security, dignity, and prosperity for all citizens is paramount if we are to unleash our full potential in developing our country. Our values in our quest for a transformed Zimbabwe. Our manifesto stands as a testament to the enduring values that define us, grounded in spirituality of our nation with transparency and integrity, cherishing the trust bestowed upon us by our fellow citizens. United in collaboration, we celebrate the diversity of our people, fostering inclusivity, where every voice is heard and every dream is nurtured. As we embark on this journey, Guided by these profound values, we envision a future where hope reigns and opportunities know no boundaries. Together, with faith as our compass and our hearts as one, we'll forge a brighter tomorrow for Zimbabwe, a Zimbabwe that belongs to us all. Fellow countrymen, in our manifesto, the current leadership philosophy is best captured in the stockholders and nativist maxim of Chinu and the so-called Nyika Inomakwanevenevayo mantra, which goes against the principles and objectives of the country's liberation struggle. The undeniable facts are as follows. The current dispensation has become a locomotive for elite interest, state capture and patronage. Party-state conflation has subverted constitutionalism, compromising national growth and inclusive development. The alternatives myopic focus on foreign direct investment mortgages Zimbabwe to external interests while overlooking domestic and regional investment aligned to the needs and aspirations of our people. Our Reform Coalition's philosophy is grounded on the need to reform under the leadership of President Kasukuwere that will serve the fundamental values which seek to attain social justice through accountability, collaboration, inclusivity, integrity, and transparency. Therefore, under the servant leadership that I will provide, it is our pledge to a transitional management leadership. This model is a transition from an elitist leadership to one which steps into meritocracy. Fellow countrymen, our new paradigm is based on one, leadership. As part of our national vision, leadership is essential. 2, governance. 3, the economy. 4, social justice and development as part of the shared principles and values. Our path forward for Zimbabwe lies in addressing its economic, political, and social challenges through inclusive governance, transparent institutions, and sustainable development policies. By promoting dialogue, reconciliation, and socio-economic empowerment, Zimbabwe can strive towards a future marked by stability, prosperity, and a better quality of life for all its citizens. The key qualities of the transformative leadership required to take Zimbabwe forward includes leaders who have a new mindset, embrace diversity of opinion, are not in need for self-enrichment, are selfless, are not corrupt, are focused on the national development agenda, and have the full grasp of the challenges ahead. Like Frantz Fanon would say, each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill or betray it in relative opacity. I quote. Fellow countrymen, our political governance, domestic and foreign policy renewal benchmarks that will usher will be sector-specific and sensitive to community-based needs. Decentralization is a holistic, sustainable, inclusive growth and development approach. Local government should be civic-oriented and focus on addressing the much-needed infrastructure in health, education, roads, housing, and human settlements. Central government. Under my leadership, the national government's role is to make laws, set policies, and implement services that fall under the auspices of the national and sovereign competencies, including defense, home affairs, foreign affairs, and the judiciary. The hallmark of the delivery of our service shall be devolution, meritocracy, capacity building, institutional reform, progressive mindsets, reform of the civil sector, work ethic and service culture, a new culture of integrity, delivery, accountability, and transparency, adequate provision of financial resources, decentralization of public administrative services. Fellow Zimbabweans, in Zimbabwe, political progress is not always aligned with the country's changing social, economic, and political needs. This has resulted in limited participation from citizens in national political discussions. My administration will aim to address this issue through the renewal agenda, focusing on improving politics, governance, and our foreign policy. In the first 100 days of our administration, we will embark on a transformative journey to redefine Zimbabwe's domestic foreign policy, centered on the reconceptualization of our national brand identity, anchored by strong family values and cultural diplomacy. Our nation's unique tapestry throughout history embraces the essence of family values, unity and inclusivity. Our engagement with the world will serve as a beacon of hope, a Zimbabwe that cherishes its heritage and fosters global partnership for mutual progress. We have to foster a political culture of accountability. The development of state philosophy has resulted in too much government involvement in important areas such as politics, society, and the economy. Under my leadership, the renewal plan acknowledges that a truly developmental state approach in a strong national identity. Achieving these goals requires prioritizing political accountability and creating a culture that supports it. This is based on the idea that a renewed state should act as the forerunner of the hopes and freedoms of the Zimbabwean citizens. The government should establish a social contract with its citizens that promotes a political culture of accountability involving all stakeholders, institutions, and actors, creating an enabling environment for wealth creation. This political culture of accountability seeks to achieve the following: making political disagreements legitimate as enshrined in the Constitution. This seeks to create a society tolerant of political differences. Political programs should prioritize issues-based approaches over ideological or polarized ones. The critical role of non-state actors includes civil society, individuals, the business community, academia, and other pressure groups in state affairs. The Constitution should be empowered to safeguard the rights of citizens from the state. A reformed coalition approach in which the state regards the private sector as a social partner in Zimbabwe's reconstruction agenda. The state is responsible for creating, implementing, and commemorating political, historical, and cultural events and programs, promoting inclusivity, belonging, and national identity. Fellow countrymen, reconciling national healing, sense of belonging, and national identity. As citizens of Zimbabwe, we recognize the importance. This foundation was crucial to our attainment of independence in 1980. Unfortunately, misunderstandings and conflicts among different groups, such as those who fought for our freedom, inter-ethnic disagreements, political disputes, and the strained relationship between the government and its people have threatened our national identity. Under my leadership, we commit to reconciling our nation and work obligations and declaration that perpetrators have an obligation to accept their fault and repair the harm inflicted. Thirdly, engagement, acknowledging that addressing crime is an inclusive approach involving victims, perpetrators, the state, and civil society. Fellow countrymen, electoral reforms are key to a responsive approach to the social contract between the state and the citizens. This basically seeks to ensure that our domestic policy enhances the responsiveness of the electoral process to the national question and society's expectations. Reforming the electoral process attains transparency, impartiality, accuracy, integrity, and inclusiveness in Zimbabwe. There are three areas of focus in our electoral reform agenda: political changes, including the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission's autonomous, transparent, and influential role. This also includes the transparent framework for ZEC's accountability and funding. Administrative changes include adopting innovative procedures and policies, including ZEC's financial integrity, procurement, and staffing models. Furthermore, the changes should reflect ZEC's capacity to embrace the electoral society's specific needs and adopt ICTs for voter registration, voting, and the electoral processes. Legal changes should speak to ZEC's commitment to its constitutional reforms, electoral laws, and policies that enhance its integrity, facilitate and implement, activate the diaspora vote. Ladies and gentlemen, the civil service sector reforms. The Zimbabwean Constitution is clear on the principles governing the civil service sector. Consequently, under my leadership, we pledge to reform the civil service to enhance the sector's efficiency, representative, democratic, the following: decent work, principle in harmony with International Labour Organization laws, to mitigate wage gaps in the public service, to ensure continuous compliance with governance standards. Random audits shall be conducted. Right-sizing the civil sector is key for Zimbabwe, a smaller country which is vulnerable to internal and external shocks, meritocracy and accountability, leveraging the renewal of the bureaucracy, and a highly trained civil service that is continually upskilled. Colleagues, our foreign policy. At the turn of the millennium, Zimbabwe experienced an unprecedented socio-economic and political crisis. A surge in a Zimbabwean diaspora community, a key human resource component. Though the country has sought to attract foreign investment, enhance regional cooperation, and secure debt relief to alleviate the country's economic challenges, the legitimate crisis of recent political events and the slow progress of reforms have reduced the country's value to the global system. Our leadership pledges to drive a foreign policy agenda which bridges domestic preferences, reviving Zimbabwe's political and socio-economic fortunes and external development, growing multilateralism which creates conditions for cooperation. Zimbabwe's national interests, activating the diaspora vote, creating conditions for the diaspora return, removal of sanctions, multilateralism, economic recovery, re-engagement and reintegration to the global community, and the state sovereignty and territorial integrity. Fellow countrymen, to achieve this, my leadership shall focus on the three key foreign policy constructs: means, resources, and institutions. Enhancing Zimbabwe's global status, building on Zimbabwe's multilateral membership, resources, utilizing the diaspora to harness overseas Zimbabwean resources as a key component for the country's modernization process, using Zimbabwe's natural resources to determine the scope of relations with the global community, building on the professionalism of Zimbabwe's security sector in peacekeeping and humanitarian missions as a critical component of Zimbabwe's soft power diplomacy, enhancing Zimbabwe's cultural and historical factors as a global community bargaining source, institutions and actors, the Parliament of Zimbabwe, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Finance, Defense, our Zimbabwe Institute of Diplomacy, our academia and civil society, and the business community. Fellow countrymen, these are some of the key objectives that we have set out in our manifesto. We are presenting to you a very comprehensive document that has looked at all the sectors in our economy, in our country, at a business level, at political level, social level. And we believe that Zimbabwe will never be the same again. We have to transform our country, build our country, renew our commitment to the people of Zimbabwe, and bring about the oneness that we all cherish. We are Zimbabweans, first and foremost. We are Zimbabweans. We are one family. We are one people. Colleagues, we need to look at our economy. Our economy requires us to work hand in glove. At the outset, it is critical that we have an economic philosophy. We believe in building a new democratic Zimbabwe, in which there is a government with the political will and legitimate mandates to perform the required functions, an institutionalized process where the bureaucracy and jet government engage with other stakeholders, an established development framework and a system, comprehensive governance system to ensure the government is implemented, e.g. a central function responsible for the overall coordination. Key endangered challenges under the current economy include promoting and supporting value addition and beneficiation, accelerating the transformation and development of our rural economy. The rural economy stands out. We have to change the status quo. The rural community cannot remain what it is. We have gone through a long period, and it is now time we overthrow the feudal ownership structure that exists in our rural communities so that we bring about equity, and fairness in our entire country. And this will speak to a new land policy that will equate the entire country's land values. Value of land has to be adopted across the board, and each and every one of us is a stakeholder and a beneficiary of God-given resources that we have. Those subsoil assets and surface soil assets are for Zimbabwe's beneficiation. We need it to be used for the development of our country. As I talk about the rural economy, I also want us to look at how we increase investment in the productive sector. This is one way of opening up our country. We need our infrastructure rehabilitated and developed. We need to re-engage with the regional and global economies. Macroeconomic stability is at the center of what we'll also be doing, and effective currency management, dealing with inflation, corruption, employment creation, poverty and broad-based economic empowerment and development, economic devolution, the debt resolution, fiscal discipline, and ensuring that we bring about order in our country. Colleagues, our government will spend your tax revenue in a responsible and transparent manner to deliver essential services to citizens. Successfully managing government revenues and expenses is crucial for creating a stable macroeconomic environment. This stability can then attract investments, provide affordable public goods and services, invest in the economy's productive sector, build and establish adequate social safety nets. In pursuance of this, we will maintain the budget deficit to a minimum of the SADC macroeconomic convergence benchmark of 3% of the GDP. Streamline and implement effective revenue collection methodologies where we will upgrade Zimbabwe's capacity, skills and technological systems. Minimize tax avoidance and evasion expenses. Manage, sorry for the technical challenge, manage public expenditure by ensuring that public funds are used effectively and efficiently without compromising our integrity, competitiveness and transparency. We need to rationalize and limit the percentage of employment costs and ensure that civil servants are well remunerated. Implement reforms of the public procurement processes to ensure efficiency and transparency. Manage the public debt, ensure that it remains within the Public Debt Management Act target of 70%, and ensure that loans procured are primarily for productive and not consumptive expenditures. They reform our state-owned enterprises and implement stringent cash budgeting measures. Ensure that we allocate financial resources to developing the rural economy, like I said, and that alleviate poverty, and have a subsidies approach which does not create market inefficiencies. Ladies and gentlemen, our monetary policy, the essence of a monetary policy, which is managed through the Reserve Bank, is to protect the value of our currency, manage inflation, issue banknotes and coins, manage money supply, and be the custodian of our gold and other mineral and foreign assets. Be the banker and advisor to government, and be the lender of last resort and the regulator of the banking sector to ensure stability, confidence, and compliance. Monetary policy does not operate in a vacuum, but must be complementary to fiscal policy. Added to this is the issue of currency and exchange rate management to always ensure macroeconomic stability. Our policy will seek to have a truly independent Reserve Bank, focusing on its core business with zero quasi-fiscal activities. move away from the current multi-currency regime to a monocurrency once conditions pertaining to a responsible, informed and measured manner which avoids systematic risk, creates confidence and market stability, and avoids loss of asset values and economic incomes, will ensure a market-driven approach to foreign exchange rates and the pricing of public and private goods and services, minimize the cost of credit, especially to SMEs, strategies which take advantage of ICT, promote a savings culture with an intended benchmark of 25% of the gross domestic product, beef up financial intelligence skills and capacity to stem illicit funds flow, financial crimes, and corruption in general. Ensure total independence of the Monetary Policy Committee, whose members must be appointed on merit and experience. Fellow countrymen, the mining sector carries our resources. Our benefits will come out of harnessing our mineral wealth for the benefit of all. The mining sector in Zimbabwe continues to be faced with a myriad of problems which need urgent attention. These include an outdated Mining and Mines Act, opaque mining deals and projects, power supply shortages and interruptions, corruption resulting in serious leakages, inadequate long-term capitalization and financing, dilapidated infrastructure, inefficient rail and telecommunication system, environmental degradation due to illegal mining operations, and the skills flight. The key success factors for the effective management and allocation of resources, of mining resources among other things, lie in amending the Mines and Minerals Act. It is imperative that local communities possess a minimum of 25 to 26. This will involve a comprehensive analysis for our subterranean assets. We will categorize our mineral resources according to established global standards such as GORC. Policy consistency and accountability. It is imperative that small-scale miners receive legal recognition, formalization and promotion. Improving the mineral sector requires a significant overhaul of its institutional arrangements. One key aspect is to focus on its deregulation of the mineral marketing sector. Corruption and illicit fund flows will be met with the crackdown. Differentiating between hard rock mining and alluvial mining is essential to make taxation laws more effective, fair, and less complicated. Our assessment of capital mobilization encompasses both valued and undervalued assets, rehabilitation of viable old mines to give great opportunity and maximize the benefits of our infrastructure development, and ensuring that our sovereign wealth fund is well managed. Colleagues, allow me also to bring forward our pledge. I've talked about the Sovereign Wealth Fund, which certainly, this is one of our key pledges that we'll make, that we envision a brighter future for Zimbabwe. We recognize the potential of our fund to be a powerful catalyst for positive change. Building on its existing foundation, we propose to strengthen its role and impact, amplifying its capacity to serve the best interests of our people. With a commitment to transparency, accountability, and inclusive growth, our unique proposition aims to unlock the full potential of the Sovereign Wealth Fund, driving socio-economic progress and prosperity for all Zimbabweans. Additionally, we aim to minimize risk by diversifying the investment portfolio, which may involve offshore investments if necessary. The Sovereign Wealth Fund will be utilized to protect the economy from any unexpected external shocks. Investment in selected strategic sectors of the economy, for example, infrastructure development, which gives long-term benefits. Meeting pressing social costs, which cannot be funded through tax revenues, such as education and health infrastructure, including, and if necessary, social safety nets. Funding local empowerment ventures, primarily for the youth and women. Funding industrialization of the economy in partnership with the private sector. and the SWF will not be utilized for recurrent expenditure or consumption. Colleagues, allow me to also talk about the key area of our nation and the future, agriculture. Around 11 million hectares of arable land currently sit under the control of government. In addition, the neglect of our agricultural infrastructure maintenance since 2000 has resulted in vast pieces of productive land being underutilized and their infrastructure dilapidated. Our key policy propositions around the land issues are: land reform is irreversible and must be rationalized and monetized to become an asset with a market value. Land audits will be a continuous exercise with land taxation on the value eligible for a rebate when you are productive. All land-based policies must have the use it or lose principle, with all agricultural land utilized and productive. Every Zimbabwean citizen who owns a piece of land, whether urban or rural, deserves the title deed to secure their tenure. We will limit and protect foreign ownership of agricultural land to 10% of arable land. We will disentail cartels in the agricultural sector and promote transparency and fair competition. Colleagues, we have to support the small-scale farmer, and they are the backbone of our economy. They are the major employer in our society. And let's not forget the role the women folk play in this sector. Our priority areas will include depoliticizing the land issue and focusing more on productivity, food security, diversification, and the export of value-added products. Land ownership must be rationalized through a land usage audit and will ensure secure tenure through the title deeds, which will be collateralized. Upgrading research and extension services, exploring renewable energy sources with an emphasis on mitigation and adaptation, availing long-term development capital at competitive interest rates, significantly increasing acreage under irrigation, diversify agricultural production away from maize and tobacco, aggressively promote the value addition by establishing agricultural hubs, rehabilitate, repair, and build new agricultural infrastructure, promote youth in agriculture, adopt a better and modified contract farming model, focusing on climate change and adaptation, rapid mechanization adoption of the new smart technologies, establishing a commodity and agricultural commodity exchange to stem the rampant corruption, bring back the financial service sector into the banking sector, into the agricultural sector, and classify farms into special commercial zones based on area, climate, size, and viability. Colleagues, I pledge to you, on being elected by the voters as president, to pay immediate attention to the following: releasing all political prisoners, the arrest and subsequent incarceration without charge of colleagues Honorable Job Scala and Garifumi come to mind. We have to hold proceedings of the PVO and Patriotic Acts. We are going to amend and repeal these repressive pieces of legislation. We'll reform ZAC and give it the fighting capacity to fight corruption. We'll expedite the reform of our state enterprises and governmental institutions. With regard to the economy, I pledge immediate current stabilization and fight against inflation. We'll convene a social contract convention with all the relevant stakeholders, civil society, business and labor, and the state. to be on one in terms of working together and addressing the economic challenges that we are in. We will also attend to the reduction of fuel levies. To this day, NOXIM continues to place a huge burden on society, on business, by keeping on charging levies that are way, way beyond. We'll be issuing title deeds, like I said earlier on, and reviewing the communal land ownership and bring about a new land architecture for our country. We are going to be looking at upgrading all our social, public, and business infrastructures. We also robustly set up the Rural Transformation Investment Fund. Tax reforms will also be undertaken. The Income Tax Act will be looked at very urgently. From the social side, we will convene a national forum for national healing. We will discuss and bring a closure to the Gukura Hundi, the challenges that faced our people during Ramachina, the political violence that has dogged our country since 2000 must be discussed, and we draw a line in the sand and say enough. And we will also deal decisively with the issues to do with the drug and substance abuse by the youth, and crack down on the non-drug barons who are behind this problem. And the provision of primary school education in terms of our constitution will be attended to. Fellow Zimbabweans, let us stand firm, hand in hand, as we build a nation that leaves no one behind. A nation where every Zimbabwean can flourish and thrive. Together we forge a brighter future, united in purpose and driven by the spirit of Ubuntu, for a Zimbabwe that truly belongs to us all. Together, we will forge a brighter future in purpose and driven, like I said, for the spirit of Ubuntu, and a Zimbabwe that truly belongs to all of us. For a copy of our manifesto, please go to the Saviour Kasukuwere.info, that's our website, and our social media handles on YouTube, on Twitter, and Instagram. We are going to be interacting, we are going to be listening to your stories, to your viewpoints, but our document is comprehensive. We discuss many more issues, and I want to take this opportunity once again to thank you very much for listening to us, for having an opportunity like this one, where we can talk to our fellow countrymen and women and say, Zimbabwe, we are coming. Zimbabwe, we are going to make a difference. Zimbabwe, let's build it for all of us. Thank you very much.